What's up? It's your boy Chicago once again, the handsome liberal, coming to you with another video. Hey, there's been so much in the news this last week of September 2021 that just can't even get to every topic, but this was one that's been pressing me and I felt compelled to talk to you guys about, even if I am a few days late on it. As you can see, the video is titled, Fire General Milley. The guy can resign. We're calling for him to be relieved of duty no matter how you do it, but that's what it boils down to. There's going to be some of you guys that do not like this, particularly on the liberal side, even though what he did is something us liberals would favor. I pride myself on being a liberal that can see both sides of the coin, and in this case, I'm going to say wrong is wrong, and that's why I'm saying, among others, that this guy should be relieved of duty, along with thousands of other Americans. So why am I saying that? Well, before we get into that, I'm going to ask that you do what I always ask you to do. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Feel free to hit the bell so you'll be notified when I'm dropping these videos. This one may be a little bit deep for some of you, particularly liberals. So if you feel like it's something you don't like, go ahead and hit the dislike button. Let me know. If it is something you agree with, hit that like button. It helps me out, lets me know what's going on. And of course, anytime, all day, every day, drop a comment and you will get a response. So why would I want to get rid of General Milley, and who is this guy? Like I said, he is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So you take the highest ranking military member from every branch of the United States military, whether it's the Coast Guard, the Air Force, Navy, Marines, Army, put each one of those guys in a room, and the guy who leads that room is the chairman, and he would be the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And that is currently General Milley. He was appointed by President Trump. And like I said, what he did, us liberals would favor. We're going to get into that. But what he did was wrong. And there's three things we're going to be talking about. So why would I want to get rid of the highest ranking military member in the United States, and why would so many others? Well, like I say all the time, when you're a coach, what happens from the team, victories or losses, what happens at the end of the season, you take responsibility. You don't get to blame it on the players, or the quarterback sucked this year, or the pitcher was throwing terrible and all. No, if the team wins, you get Gatorade. If the team loses, generally, your job is at risk. That's how it kind of works. That's what leadership of a team is about. And that applies in the case here with General Milley. First, we're going to talk about the biggest thing which hurt his boss, or hurt the commander-in-chief, the United States president, probably more than anything, throughout the term we've had so far, between, President Biden being elected and being sworn in January to now, late September 2021. Probably one of the worst things on his resume so far is the loss of 13 service personnel in Afghanistan during that botched evacuation. It was a mess. There's no doubt about that. So the military evacuation of Afghanistan, which would be happening under the top-ranking member of the military, General Milley, he would absolutely be responsible for the coordination of that. That happened under his watch, and like I said, we've had 13 individuals killed in a suicide bombing in the chaos of getting everybody evacuated at the same time, and all of those crowding the Kabul airport and all of that. Suicide bomber walks up, boom, kills 13 American service personnel, and I believe nearly 100 Afghanis, at least 60 or so were killed right away, and there's injuries and things like that. All of that is from a horrible, horrible, quick evacuation. After that, it just continued. There was a drone strike on our way out. The military launched a drone strike on a vehicle that we believe was involved in a terrorist action and had a high-ranking target, or a high-value target. And it turned out to be a family and a whole lot of children. I believe about 5 children were killed or something of that nature. And that is being visible on the world stage. Very embarrassing. And when it first happened, we immediately stepped forward and claimed that it was a legitimate strike. And General Milley himself used the words, it was a righteous strike. So General Milley, when questioned on it, defended it and said it was a legitimate strike. And turns out it was horrible. I mean, it was just a massacre of innocent people. And that has been all over the news nationwide and globally as well. So there's two things that happened under his watch. The third one is still up in the air as far as being validated, but it looks like it's probably more true than not. And if so, it's probably worse than the first two, which I've just told you in both cases involved a lot of loss of life. And that is Bob Woodward. He's been known to drop books on, he has a lot of access to the White House, a lot of access to high-ranking individuals, a lot of insider information. He does a lot of things with anonymous sources, so it's very difficult to be able to prove if what he's saying is completely true, but from what I can tell, most in the know believe it's absolutely true. And that is, during the final days of Trump's term, he colluded with Nancy Pelosi, of all people. She basically is in charge of Congress. I cannot think of the actual term for it, but she was in charge of, she still is the leader of Congress right now. And they colluded together to remove any power from President Trump to actually invoke any type of military action in his final days. Now, the belief was that Trump was so demented or so demonic that he might launch some form of an attack to prolong himself in office or just leave a mess behind for President Biden. Now, as a liberal, I believe that. I would actually have believed the same thing come toward the end of his term. I mean, when I look at the insurrection, which I know a lot of right-wingers totally absolve Trump from any guilt of, I don't buy that shit. I'm on the camp that Trump is 100% responsible for what happened on January 6th. He invited all of these people to come out, told them it's going to be wild, told them to march to the Capitol. His words, quote unquote, was, "I'm going to be there with you." And he didn't go to the Capitol with these people. He led this horrendous speech, him, Giuliani, and a number of others that was all pumped up, you know, where Giuliani shouts out, "Let's have trial by combat." So they charge these folks up and they send them to the Capitol building with no guidance. Trump, Giuliani, none of them are at the Capitol building. You just sent a whole bunch of angry people to the Capitol building, and it turned out to be a mess. I think that's fairly predictable. To say Trump is not responsible for any of that, to me, seems insane. And then, of course, after that, a Republican-led Senate did everything they could to block any investigation into Trump. In fact, they're still trying to investigate what happened on January 6th. Not to get too deep into that, but I'm just simply saying, based on shit like that, it's very easy for me to also buy into Nancy Pelosi and General Milley colluding together to let China know, and this is who the big deal is being made over. The reports are that General Milley called his counterpart. Okay, General Milley is the top-ranking U.S. military personnel, and he called his counterpart, the guy who has this exact same rank in China, and let the Chinese know, who were apparently also worried. Apparently, according to this book, the Chinese were also worried that Trump might do something in regards to launching a strike or some military action against China. So General Milley and his counterpart in China were talking without official authorization. So I would say behind Trump's back, but I'll just say without official authorization. It wasn't something that was sanctioned by the U.S. government. It was something that he was doing on his own to let his counterpart in China know that if our president does go rogue or does try to do something like this, I'm going to prevent it. And he passed down a notice among the U.S. military that any type of strike ordered by Trump needs to come through him. This is General Milley. So what he essentially did was took control of the United States military above and beyond even his own high position, and pretty much said the buck stops with me, which that's, you know, you can't do that. That's even for a guy like that, it's above your pay grade. You just can't do that. And he did that. And if that is true, that's essentially a coup. You pretty much took over the United States government, even if it was for a small period of time. And also, you're colluding with the enemy. China is not, I won't say China is totally an official U.S. military, an enemy of the U.S. military. We can't really say completely, but they are absolutely an adversary. Similar to Russia. Russia's not an enemy, but they are absolutely an adversary. So if you're colluding with them, that needs to be something that is known throughout U.S. government, and President Trump absolutely should know. And obviously he was going behind President Trump's back. So to do something like that, yeah, you should definitely be relieved of duty. Why do I say that? Even as a liberal, having said what Milley did is something I would personally favor. If I knew he was doing that at the time as a liberal with Trump, the way I thought Trump was, I would be like, hell yeah, I feel better knowing that he can't do that. But like I said before, being able to see both sides of the coin, it's wrong. It's still wrong. And the reason I bring that up is because right now, most Republicans think Joe Biden has dementia. They think Joe Biden can barely talk. He's reading a teleprompter. He's not capable of even knowing where he is most of the time. That's what Republicans believe. I think it's bullshit, particularly after seeing him debate Trump, and he was totally coherent. Trump never said, well, the guy was reading the teleprompter the whole time. No, he was responding to your questions and even used the phrase, won't you shut up, man? So he clearly was coherent when he was debating Trump. But Republicans believe this guy has dementia. So what we want as liberals, what we want the military snatching away Joe Biden's power right now, President Biden's power right now, because we had a military personnel in office that had right-wing leaning views and decided that, well, he knows what's better for the country than the guy we elected. No, we would not want that. Of course we wouldn't want that. We would be just as angry as the right wing is finding out that General Milley did the same thing. And that's why I'm saying you have to be able to see both sides of the coin. And when I say both sides of the coin, I mean you're looking at it like, how would I feel if this was happening to me? And as a liberal, how would I feel if a right-winger and a right-wing military personnel or military member with that rank was doing something in favor of the right wing that I totally disagree? I would feel like he needs to resign, which is what I'm saying now. So I definitely, when you look at, like I said, the evacuation of Afghanistan, costing the lives of 13 service personnel, the drone strike, which is just incredibly embarrassing on the world stage, and then of course this alleged anti-Trump coup that took place that looks for the most part like it actually happened. And let me just say this, we could find out if that actually happened or not. We could find out if he talked to his counterpart in China. There should be transcripts of that conversation or some type of proof that that conversation took place. He could be brought up to testify before Congress. He could be subpoenaed and things like that. But just like with Trump and the insurrection, the Democrats are going to block any significant investigation into whether General Milley actually did what he's been accused of. Because it's politics. Like I said, you got to be able to see what's wrong is wrong. If you can see General Milley being wrong and see it's wrong with the Democrats blocking that investigation, but you don't see anything wrong with the Senate blocking the investigation of the Trump and the insurrection, then you're not able to see both sides of things. You're just not. So that's where I'm saying, even if you think Trump is 100% innocent, why would you block the investigation of that? You still should want the facts to come out. So, yeah, they need to find out if what is being alleged against General Milley is true. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen right now with a Congress and Senate being controlled by the Democrats. Now, as of 2022, about a year from now, a little bit over a year from now, with the midterms coming in and it being typical that the commander-in-chief in office generally loses at least one of those. I mean, we all expect Biden to at least lose the Senate, if not Congress as well. That, and of course they're going to say that's a testimony to how bad Biden is as a president. It's bullshit. This is typical. It happens with all of them. I mean, remember back in 2010, President Barack Obama said we took a shellacking and he lost Congress. Same thing happened with Trump. Trump lost them both. Trump lost them both. So, well, he lost in the midterms in his presidency. He lost Congress, and then of course he lost the presidency, Senate, and Congress in 2020. So this happens with. It's actually more along the lines of the norm as opposed to it being some kind of testimony that Biden is doing a bad job in his presidency. But yeah, we do expect him to lose at least the Senate in the midterms, if not the Senate and Congress. We'll see what happens. Remember, like I said, Trump lost Congress in 2018, which is why you had Nancy Pelosi then leading Congress, throwing up impeachments and all kinds of shit, and his term just got to be even worse. But yeah, he took office with control of the Senate and Congress. In the first midterms that came along in 2018, he lost Congress. So if Biden loses Congress, it's just following a long line, because it happened to President Obama as well. So we'll see what happens. But what do you guys think? You think General Milley, what he did was, well, first of all, do you think it's wrong to blame him for the Afghan evacuation? Loss of because I know we want to blame Biden. Biden is the president. Like I said, the coach takes credit, so he does have weight to bear. I mean, I'm not absolving President Biden from this botched strike either. But you don't just get rid of the coach, then you do get rid of the bad quarterback or the bad pitcher as well. But you start out with the coach, and President Biden is the coach. There's just not any way to get rid of Biden before 2024. That's up to the voters. And we'll talk about that in future videos, I'm sure. But you can get rid of General Milley right now. That's the pitcher or the quarterback. So even though it's a losing season, you don't have to wait to the end of the season to do something about these people right now. So you can get rid of General Milley right now, because those orders would have came through him in regards to how to properly evacuate Afghanistan and that drone strike as well. These are things that he would have absolutely had power to make or break. So, and then of course the coup, which is something that seems like it was orchestrated 100% by him. Biden wasn't even in office, officially in office yet. So obviously Biden can't get any credit for him calling his Chinese counterpart, because that happened while Trump was still in office. Unfortunately for Trump, this is a guy that Trump appointed. How many guys have Trump appointed or personally put in a position of power that turned out to hate the guy? I mean, he's horrible at venting people, but whole nother video another time. So do you think General Milley should be relieved of duty for this? You think he should be reprimanded for this? You think he should take any issues at all? Or should we just stick with blaming it all on Joe Biden? Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if I'm just outrageous with this. I'm a little late on this, a few days, at least about a week behind on this. But like I said, there was a lot going on in the news that I wanted to talk about that was even more current than this story, but I felt compelled to bring it up. And I would like to know your opinion on it. Once again, hit the like or dislike button. Let me know what you feel about this if you're still tuning in. It is your boy Chicago, the handsome liberal. I'm out of here.